Hey, y'all. Hey, family.
Hey.
Listen, if you're online right now, join us on Instagram Live or Facebook Live. Hey, y'all. I'm Shavon Arline-Bradley. Get in line with Arline. It is time.
Nice.
It is time for my favorite day of the week online, and that's Monday. And nobody likes Mondays, but I do because I know that Black Media Monday is on and popping, and I am telling you, I am purple proud tonight because I have a very special guest on Black Media Monday. You all know this. We are here. NCNW is here celebrating our 90th anniversary. We just turned 90 years old. Listen, we're going to be 90 all year long. So get ready. A lot of stuff is coming all year long, but we are on our third episode of Black Media Monday. Listen, this is a new show that we are proud to bring to our audience. This is where we elevate Black excellence in media. And I'm excited for this because our experts share insights and strategies and, quite frankly, highlight the importance of the Black press, of Black voices in press, and telling stories for us and by us. So, you all know 2 Mondays out of every month, we are highlighting the best of the best. And during this time of misinformation and disinformation, our community needs to have trusted sources. And we like to bring them to the front. And tonight, we got somebody who's wearing her purple too.
Come on.
It is our third guest who I know will give us another great show. Her name is the one and only Karen Finney. She is a leading, I'm reading this whole thing, so bear with me because I
Oh,
want people to know.
no.
They got to know. You are a leading Democratic strategist and political commentator. You served as a senior advisor to Stacey Abrams on her gubernatorial campaign, at the DNC committee and AL Media in the 2018 election cycle. You were also a senior advisor for communications and political outreach, and hear this, senior spokesperson for Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. She was the DNC committee's first African American spokeswoman, helping to lead the DNC's comm strategy for the 50 state strategy that was successful. 2006 congressional elections and 2008 presidential campaign. Y'all know who won that one. And she brings a unique perspective to her work. She hosted her own show on then MSNBC called Disrupt with Karen Finney, where she dared to tell the facts. There was no false stuff on her show. She told the facts. Now we see her energy weekly. Hear me. On CNN, never afraid. Can I just tell you, I'm so proud. Like, I'm always throwing stuff at the TV, but you are never afraid to tell what's really going on. And can I just say, for the people that don't know, that on December 6th, we just honored the one and only Karen
Mm.
Finney as one of our NCNW Uncommon Height journalists.
Yes.
He was
What an
along with other leaders, Melissa Harris Perry, Tiffany Cross, and Joanne Reed, for her journalistic integrity and being dedicated to reporting the facts, no matter the consequences. For the people that the Karen Finney. Come on, Karen.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you. And I love that you're doing this because, so often we hear from people, hey, well, who do you follow? Who should I follow? Who can we trust? So
Yes.
this is such a great resource for people to, find new people to follow or decide if you like what they have to say and think you want to see what they're writing about.
Well, and we had to do this, Karen. It's getting out of control,
Yeah.
right? The protection of the what I call the objective voice of our conscience, right? The media, the space that's supposed to be protected. But before we get into the depths of the stuff,
Yes, ma'am.
first of all, I want to say I love you and I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank
It
you.
has been a joy. I've gotten to know Karen over the last 7 or 8 years, and it has been my joy to call you when I needed to talk to someone, to be able to pray with you, and really engage as life has life for a lot of us. And you, my sister, you made it, and you made it big, girl. I'm just so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And I have to say that. I want people to know this is actually like a real sisterhood. Like Black women out here
Yeah.
hugging up on other sisters and shouting out. and you really set the tone for this. But I want to ask the real question of you: what made you want to be a journalist? Like, how did that even start for you? Like, that's a real question.
Yeah, it's crazy because it's as a people always say, "Oh, what did you want to be when you were a kid?" I mean, I had no idea. I don't really. My dad was a lawyer. I was really interested in the law,
Oh wow!
um, and yeah, and I actually had gotten into law school at UVA and ended up deferring because my life just took a different turn.
Really?
Um, but, a lot of it was when I got into politics and I had the opportunity to work with the press and really understand better how stories are put together.
Yeah.
And, Siobhan, one of the things I think is so important that we talk about, and I'll keep this on my journey, but I think it's also related to the bigger issues we're talking about here. You know, it strikes me we forget media has always been subjective because
Oh,
someone has always been there to make the decision about what gets on the airwaves or what gets in the
wow.
newspaper, right? And for so long, it was white men. And I don't say that with I'm not mad at Walter Cronkite. I'm just saying
Thanks, Walter, for what you did.
he had a lot of control and power. And for so long, it was sort of accepted that that was objective, fact. It was like, well, wait a second. There's some subjectivity to it. Now, there are facts, and there is, I think, how your responsibility to how you present them, which is
Yes.
different.
Yep.
And certainly traditional journalists have a different job than I do, although I have to say I've been concerned over the last 20 years and that I think it's really merging. Because when I first started, when I was a young deputy press secretary, the
Yeah.
rule was a reporter, in order to report something, you had to have two sources. So that means two people you've talked to who were
Right.
willing to put their name in your
On the
news
record.
story on, we call it on the record, and if you didn't have that, you couldn't. And over time, that sort of started to shift, and you start to see that's why now you'll see in stories where it might say a source close to so and so, or
Yeah.
people were granted anonymity to speak, on background because for fear of retribution or what have you. And look, I think sometimes that can be very helpful because there are times when it's sensitive information
Yeah.
that, how it's handled matters. But it also means that it's shifted. And so one of the things that I really got to see up close and in person, just being on the other side of it, was the other side of, okay, reporters are going to come to you with the theory of the case, and your job is to present here's the facts as either as I know them, and I really don't call it spinning, but I would always say, like, here's my take, right? Here's
Yeah.
what
Here's
I
the thing.
see. Here's what I think these facts are telling us. And so just from doing that work and then slowly, part of that role enabled me to be on television, kind of, and then when I worked at the DNC, or if when I work for candidates, then you're defending them. But then I had the opportunity to kind of go out on my own, and then you realize, oh, wait a second, I'm speaking for myself, so I can say whatever I want.
Right. Right. Right.
Although I always felt the responsibility to check the facts, know that what I'm saying I can justify. It's not just me, you know, kind of making stuff up, because I think that's part of how your integrity matters, your word matters.
Yes.
So as I started to kind of make that transition, and then I was at MSNBC at the time, um, and they were, giving different commentators, an opportunity to host. And so,
Yeah.
but I always am clear to say I'm an opinion journalist. So my job is to give you my take on the facts, and I'm more clear about that. And I come
Yes.
with biases. I don't, which is different than the job of a traditional news or journalist who's supposed to be there to just tell you what happened.
Right. Right. Right.
But we know people still, their own biases. And, this is something you and I talked about so often when Kamala Harris was vice president, when, part of the frustration when because I, do a lot of work with women candidates and people of color. And,
Hmm.
with talking to some of these white male reporters, I'm like, you guys don't even have the language to understand what I'm talking about. Like, you don't even know what I'm talking. I cannot tell you. I remember
Whole
the
different
first,
experience.
right, trying to explain the Divine Nine and why it should matter.
Yes, yes.
Exhausting.
Cultural context is everything.
Exactly, exactly. And so again, I think it's important that we have traditional media, we have opinion journalists.
Well,
But the other thing I'll say, certainly when I first started, I mean, there's some amazing Black women journalists. There's a woman named Carol Simpson years ago. There's so many amazing women that I work with at MSNBC and in other news organizations, Black
right.
women. You know, Adana Brazil is one of the people who kind of helped pave the way for Black women to have these kinds of opportunities, and I'm so
Yes.
grateful because
Donna
when I
B,
first
shout out. Happy birthday, Donna
happy
B.
birthday, Donna B. I hope you're not watching. I hope you're out having fun. Um, but but one of the reasons I really got into it was realizing that there were so many conversations happening where if if I wasn't there, and I'm not this is not just about me, but if a person of color wasn't there, a Black person,
Who would have our voice?
to have our voice, the conversation is tilted in a different direction. Or even as a woman, right? To be
Yeah.
able to say, in some of the early conversations about reproductive freedom, and I'm talking 10, 15 years ago, right? Because when you started to say to people, wait a second, you're trying to tell women what to do with their own bodies. And that's not something necessarily that male journalists are thinking. So
Or can
again,
speak to clearly. Like it's the
right,
truth. I,
right.
I want to go back to something that you said though, because I want to make sure people heard what you said. You said I am an opinion journalist, and I want to be clear why we're highlighting you, because you have opinions that we believe in. All right, let me just go ahead. Oh, hello.
Thank you, sis. Thank you.
Put the
Yes.
back.
Well, and look, and this is the thing, a lot of my opinions are certainly, I think, shared by a lot of people in our community,
Yeah,
frankly, a lot of people across the country. And it's important if you have an opportunity to have a platform, the more of us that are doing it, the more people are exposed to our thoughts, our ideas, our excellence,
yeah,
our insights.
yeah.
Because otherwise people can say, well, I didn't. I mean, think about how powerful this is. An example we all use a lot, but with George Floyd, the power of people seeing for themselves something they
The visual.
right. I remember in 2012 being in, and God bless his soul because I miss him so much. John Lewis used to do, as you know, the pilgrimage, the civil rights pilgrimage
Thelma.
to Selma, and he would do through the Institute for Faith and Politics a couple of days. And the trip I happened to be on, a journalist named Bill Plant, who was legendary CBS journalist, had was on the trip, and this was later in his career. And I just remember him telling stories about how, as a young journalist, he had been there, and it was one of the first times that television was there to really show people
Yeah,
what was happening, and the power that that had, and just how for him as a young journal, he grew up mostly in the Northeast, so he just had a very different, and the power, how that affected him. I just really appreciated that, because again, part of our job is to witness what is happening
yeah.
and to lift it up and to add our, and again, as an opinion person, part of my job is to give you the benefit of my insights, my expertise, the people that I have access to, that I can talk to and can say, so here's one way to look at this, right?
It's
And
perspective.
mhm,
It's perspective, and let me level set here because you are an analyst on CNN, and let me just say, you have to spar a lot. I,
yeah,
let's have the tea because you
sure,
are sparring real time. And when you think about your role, like when you
yeah,
think about the role of the press and free society, when you think about the independence of the press from the government, how does that play out for you as someone who's on CNN, someone
yeah,
who has, I want to say the word opposition,
oh
often
yeah,
sitting next to you or in front of you? You're often the voice. What does that
yeah.
look like for you, right? What does that mean to have this free press, this free society to be able to have these opinions, but also it's independence from the government.
Well, and look, let's be honest. We're in a moment where freedom of the press is under attack, and I touched on that a little bit in my remarks. Which, by the way, the 90th, what a beautiful event! I'm gonna do a quick
Thank
sidebar.
you.
Siobhan, I'm so proud of you and the fact
Oh,
that
gosh,
you are leading this organization in this moment.
honor.
And I can't tell you what it meant to me to be honored by you, by NCNW in this
Mhm.
moment. It just meant so much, especially because we're in a moment where Black women are under attack, journalists are under attack, Black journalists are under attack. And so when you're smart, it's so I'll just say previously, and I've been doing this since about 2012, right?
Yeah,
I didn't feel like I felt like you have to be careful what you say. You're not gonna be offensive and racist and
right,
be
right.
mindful. And I've made mistakes and had to, own up to them. But I never felt like I couldn't get in the ring as hard as I needed to. And now we're in this moment where a lot of journalists are talking about this. A lot of us in the media are talking about this. People don't want to admit that that's something they're thinking about. But the truth is, with media consolidation and the
Yeah,
way this administration has used their power to go after media organizations that are certainly owned by larger corporate entities
yeah,
and threaten, it's created a little bit of a different dynamic. And there's a real effort to try to protect the sanctity of that because I think it's
mhm.
important. I don't agree. There's a lot of people that I'm on with, and I don't agree with them. And some I probably wouldn't give a platform to. That being said, I do think it's important for some of those voices, for us to hear different voices.
I agree with that. I agree with
Right.
that.
Because we've gotta be able to not just because maybe they're the opposition, but because, an informed knowledge is power, but an informed public is even
Yeah,
more powerful.
yeah,
So, it's like, know why you believe what you believe. And you have to, kick that when somebody's challenging you. So it's
yeah.
interesting. So when I prep, if I always will try to ask like, who am I on with? Because I know
Who's at the
people
table?
well
Yeah,
enough. There's some people I just, I mean, like, well, I won't say, but, I usually
we're
try to
clear. We're
say,
clear.
because I have a sense, I've been on with most people enough that I kind of have a sense, or if I don't know the person, I'll go look at what did they recently say, what was there, just so I can get a feel for where they're coming from
Mhm.
and a feel for their style.
Yeah,
Um, and and if it's someone that I know tends to be very aggressive, then
yeah.
I'm like I'm ready if I have to be. And if I don't, that's okay too. Because sometimes I think you want to match the energy a little bit. Because I think, particularly as a woman and a woman of color,
That's the thing.
I don't want to come off as too
Angry black
bullish.
woman.
Yes, right. So you definitely have to be mindful of
Yeah,
that. Um, and and try to be mindful of here's the argument. And the other thing I try to do though is to say, okay, what hasn't been said yet on this topic that should be said? What hasn't anyone, said about this? Because a lot of times you hear talking points, and again, being an opinion journalist means you can share your talking points with me, but that doesn't mean I'm going to say them.
because you have your
Um,
own frame.
Right, and
Yeah,
truth. I mean, look, there was a story that came out last year during the election, 2024, about the former President Joe Biden and how he was
yes.
handling how he had not yet acknowledged the granddaughter that Hunter had had out of wedlock. And the White House sent over some talking points, and I texted because I'm real honest with people, and I just said, "Look, I can't say that. What I can say is families are complicated. My own family, like my family's complicated. Most of our families are
We all got
complicated,
stuff. We all got stuff.
right? And I can talk about it from that perspective and let's give people some humanity and insight from that perspective. But I'm not just going to go out and just say, just defend it outright without kind of
Right.
saying, hold up, right?
There's some stuff
So
there. Yeah.
yeah, so it's
But that's that interdependence, right? Or independence, I should say, from the government, right?
yes,
Even when it's your side, like I think that's a great example because I think a lot of times people think, well, you know what? she's 100% biased, in the pocket, da da da. No,
Mm-mm.
you have your own conscience, you have your own intellect, and you make your
Yes.
own decisions. You're a black
Right.
woman. That's what it is. You're a
I
black
mean, because
woman.
we have to. But and the other thing is, Shavon, and this as a leader, and I think I say this to young people all the time.
Yeah,
Your integrity is gold.
everything.
If people don't believe that they can trust what you say or that you're going to do what you say, how can they?
I work with you.
What do you have? It's one. I mean, I look at some of the people who are on television these days saying things that are 180 degrees different than what they've said before, or they seem willing to kind of go with
They
wherever the wind
lie, they lie,
blows.
they lie.
Yeah, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not interested in that. I'm not.
Yeah, and then I think that then this is really gets me to why we're actually hoping that people listen to you. Why we want more people to follow you. Why we want more people to understand your platform, because at the end of the day, it's our job, as even as an NCNW, my job as the president CEO, my job as a black woman, as someone who works in civil rights, to make sure that our community is not duped. Because the other
Yes,
piece in this is that there may be a person that may have our same could be in the same community, but not have the same creed, not have the same character, right?
that's
Because
right.
you're not fighting just one race of people. You're fighting an ideology.
Yes,
I wanna say that very, very clear to the listeners,
yeah,
right? Make sure, listen, if you're on, share with your friends on IG Live, Facebook Live. I'm here with Karen Finney talking about the real deal,
that's
which is
right.
how you have an independent voice and still take a stand for issues that are important to you. Now, I've
Right.
gotta say this, I think our strongest tool to ensure that we fight for civil rights is, quite frankly, the black journalist. Like, I am calling you Harriet. You are
Oh,
Harriet.
I wish I could just.
Black journalists are our Harriet Tubman. I've told people all the time that the black press is our Underground Railroad.
Yes,
Full stop. So tell me this, why do you think the black press and black journalists are still a trusted source? And why do we need black voices in media
yeah,
to fight misinformation and disinformation? Because I'm telling you, we can't keep up with all the lies that are swirling,
that's
and it's
right.
hard to pull that down. What do you say to that?
And we're targeted. I want to add that piece that people
Oh,
should know.
man.
Black voters in particular are targeted by Russian bots, by
Real.
tiny, foreign actors who are now able to
True.
infiltrate, online, uh, not just partisan or ideological actors. And, it was interesting. I remember reading something one time that, the Russian, like this intelligence guy said, look, the Russians have never been great at coming up with their own ideas, but they
Right.
know how to exploit fractures. And the biggest one that the United States has is these divides around race. They know if they
They
throw those bots
know.
in and pit us against each other,
They
they
know.
right?
But the country knows. That's historic. That's
Yes.
quid pro
But we
quo. I know
forget
this
it
is
because we see something
yeah,
and we're like, oh my God, this thing I'm gonna
absolutely.
tweet. And you gotta stop and say, Okay, let me just, is that really true? Does that really okay, no, okay, maybe that's an okay. Right. You gotta take a breath in
Yes.
this environment. So let me just say this because I've been thinking about this a lot lately and it's so important.
Please.
Think about our historic tradition as African people.
Mm.
How did we how was knowledge and information and education and even governance? It was through storytelling, a storytelling tradition, right? Where we pass knowledge and information along. And then think about how when we got here and information and knowledge was kept from us, like we didn't even know
Yeah.
where we were. Like how they figured out follow the drinking gourd. That's a whole other, because people, this was long
Yeah.
before you had an iPhone, let me tell you, right? But so think, but again, it just goes back to there is something that is in our DNA around storytelling, around we're going to have conversation, and that's how we're going to share information.
Yeah.
It's how I'm going to help teach you how to keep yourself safe. It's how I'm gonna help you figure out like, hey, this is a better mortgage rate for your home,
Yes.
right? Or here's a source where maybe you can get some money for your business idea. So I think part of Black journalism is also has been about, and the Black press, it is a part of something that has been part of our tradition
Right.
for hundreds of years, in part because we knew we couldn't trust the information
Yeah.
that we were getting from other sources, or that maybe we could trust a piece of it, but we needed to, trust but verify, check that against some other sources.
Sure.
So I think that's a big piece of it. And certainly I think, I always say, like, we need all of it. We need the Black press, and we need, Black voices and journalists
In mainstream,
in
right? Yeah.
mainstream, in newsrooms,
Yeah.
online, as influence, in all the spaces, because it's the ability to be in some of these rooms where maybe it's an editorial meeting, or
Yeah.
maybe it's a back and forth you're having, like, there are times when the bookers will reach out and say, "Hey, here's your topics for today." And they'll say, "Hey, do you have any thoughts on this?" And, I'm share with them, or I'll say, "Hey, you guys should just know I'm gonna bring
Yeah.
up this other piece." Um, like, we were talking about immigration not too long ago, and I had just had the opportunity to have dinner with some state legislators who are running for Congress in Florida. One of them was African American, and one who was Cuban American.
Uh-huh.
And they were saying, a story that's not getting out there is how many Afro-Cubans and how many Black folks
Hello.
are at this alligator Alcatraz. They were like, "We don't understand why people aren't." So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna.
Gotta bring that up. Yeah.
And so part of it is just, or I might reach out to you and say, "Shavon, what's the civil rights community thinking about, feeling about, masked ICE agents? That just doesn't feel safe. That help me think about that, right?" So part of it is we all come to our jobs with lived experiences that are different. And I think it's important that our people see that there are people who look like them helping to share, news and information and content, so that they can say, "All right, I believe this person because I think they probably understand where I'm coming from a little better than maybe that person." And there are plenty of times, look, we don't all always agree. I mean,
Right.
the rise of more of the God bless them, Lord Jesus help me, Black Republicans. I'll be real honest. Sometimes it is hard for me
Art.
because I don't
Mhm.
understand. There are moments where I'm like, I don't understand how you can defend some of what
Mhm.
this ideology that treats people with brown skin like we're nothing, right? I don't understand that. So anyway, but I think so. I think it's important for people to see that and to know that we're there, and to know. I mean, look, our sister Erin Haynes from the 19th, who is now head of the National Association of Black Journalists.
Happy 50th, NABJ. Happy
Happy
50th.
50th, and we love Erin, and please support her.
Yep. She was our first guest, actually. Absolutely.
Yes, and there were times when I would have conversations with her. I've had conversations with her about things that are happening, right? And sometimes it's just she'll get it quicker than some
Yeah.
others.
Cultural.
Right, it's cultural. Or, and sometimes it's really interesting. I remember when I worked for Hillary Clinton back in the 90s talking to women journalists, because back then there were fewer women, period, right? And some of them would say, "Look, I don't disagree that there's a double standard here."
Yeah.
But the pressure that they felt from their editors to prove that they wouldn't go easy on a woman,
Wow.
right? And so, to your point about being independent and free, part of what I think is exciting and important in this moment, particularly as more journalists they may, write for a particular publication or news organization, but then have other platforms where that gives them a little more freedom to kind of push back on an editor who might say, "No, no, we're not interested in that story.
Right.
We want you to dig on this angle." Um,
Yeah. This
you
is
know.
this is so helpful. Now, I'm not sure why that timer says that we've been on this call almost 30 minutes, but I don't believe it. But whatever. I do have to ask you one question that we ask everybody before they sneak off and into
Yes.
this thing. So Black Media Mondays where we highlight Black media excellence. This is the defining question for all of our guests. Karen,
Yes.
define Black media excellence to you.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. It is, to me, it is about something I talk about frequently. It's from the Four Agreements. Uh, be uh, it's about the excellence of what you say. Be impeccable with your word.
Mm,
And it, to me, it also is similar to in the Bible. With the God, that God cares not just what you say, but why. So for me, it is when I say be impeccable with your word, or that your credibility, your integrity is your gold. That is the most important thing, because you people, your word is the most valuable thing you will ever have.
fine. Yeah.
Right? Because people knowing that they can trust you and believe in you. And everything is about, can you get up in the morning and look yourself in the eye in the mirror?
I did what I'm supposed to do.
And I try to,
Yeah.
and part of being impeccable with our words means we're clear why we're saying what we're saying, and we're not using our words I'm, there are times when I am criticizing someone, but I'm not doing it necessarily to try to knock them down. I'm trying to expose a harm. I'm trying to expose a truth. I try not to talk bad about people's backs or about myself. Part of being impeccable with your word is, don't talk yourself down. That's a whole other
Right,
piece of
right,
it.
right.
But just this idea of, to me, Black media excellence is that you are clear about what the assignment is. And particularly in this moment, the assignment to me is that we have to continue to push the truth,
Yes.
centering Black stories, centering Black life and our expertise and our experiences, particularly given, I'll just also say, we are drivers of American culture. We are drivers of over $1 trillion in this economy. So
2.1.
what we say, just saying. So what we say matters. When we
Yeah,
choose to say it
that's
matters.
right.
And so that's part of our responsibility. That's the other part of excellence, is understanding that your platform is a responsibility. It is a responsibility to, don't use it for clickbait. Use it to help spread truth, to fight disinformation, to help inform, to help spread knowledge, and to help fight back on an ideology that is literally trying to strip our very existence out of the history books, out of, right,
Period.
trying to change the whole. I mean, I'll share with you. I because and it was one where the host looked at me and I was like, I'm going in on this one. I was sitting next to a white Republican congressman who wanted to argue with me about whether or not there was a white genocide in South Africa.
I saw the clip.
And part of me was like, this was after the shooting, right? And I'm like, here in DC,
Yeah.
of the National Guard. And I was like, really? That's what you want to go at?
That what we're talking about now?
Right? But I was like, no, no, I'm gonna say this, because he, like, tried to, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna say it again. I'm not letting you get away or get the last word on that,
Abs
because there are moments where it's like, no, 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 we can't let that stand without challenging it. And this, particularly in the civil rights space, like, we have to keep fighting these fights. And we're in a moment where, think about, and it could have been somebody else, but, like, you can't let somebody get away with this
Yes.
idea that there's a white genocide in South Africa. Come on. I
I
mean,
mean, but and you're this is why Black media excellence is everything, right? It's everything because truth has to prevail. Like, even if you have opinion, what I can say is the reason why we wanted to feature Karen is because her truth is our truth. Right? As our
yeah,
listeners, we have to have people in place. And we have folks that are on all sides of the aisle in our organization. We don't care
right.
about your partisanship. We care about how you feel about the people, how you treat the people. Do you honor the people? Right. And so I have to say to you, I know we're at time. I see the
Okay.
team in the back. Thanks, Karen Finney, because you gave us an amazing insight into what it means have to sit there and take it sometimes. But I want you to know this. We're rooting for you.
Thank
We
you.
love you so much. And for those that are listening, you just saw Black media excellence in full
Aw,
effect. So Karen Finney,
thank you.
she is an amazing
Thank you.
analyst.
Thank
You all,
you.
please follow her on social media. You just saw a great night tonight on Black media excellence. We want you to know if you missed tonight, if you got friends that want to see this, newsflash, y'all, starting in the beginning of the year, you can find this show anywhere you watch a podcast. I'm so
Oh,
excited about this.
and
You
I
will
hope
find on
that's amazing. And please, let me just say, I hope people will watch because Shavon Arline-Bradley is truly one of the most
oh,
gorgeous human beings. And I mean that in the fullness of the word. You are
mm,
so excellent with your words. You are so graceful and gracious and powerful and beautiful. And I love what you're doing, and I love that you're bringing this to people, and I always just love being in your presence and listening to you talk. So,
oh, sis,
if
thank
you could
you.
get on a podcast and listen to Siobhan talk, you better do it. That's what I'm telling you. Let me just say that part.
I listen, I love it. Look, we're gonna also be on Apple, Spotify, and guess
That's
what,
great.
y'all? NCNW TV on YouTube is coming. So
Yes.
I cannot be more proud. Thanks to the comms team. Thank you all for joining us. And by the way, y'all, it's the end of the year. If you have an end of year gift that you're looking to find an organization to support, support NCNW. We want your support. We're celebrating 90 years. $9, $90, $900, 9,000, whatever folks vote. We would love to have your support. And Karen and I serve on the board of Power Rising. Shout out to Power Rising. We want to
Yes.
let you know that we're going to be getting sisters together in Chicago in April. So get ready, y'all. You're going to hear more about it. So thanks for joining us live on Black Media Monday. We're going to be 90 all year long. There's so much coming. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and go to our website, www.ncnw.org. Love y'all. Merry Christmas if I don't talk to you.